Hi everyone, this is RJ Enseñado and welcome back to my channel, GTR Math Tutorial. So for those who are new in this channel, please subscribe and hit the bell button so that you will be updated on the upcoming videos. So in this video lesson, I will discuss application of maxima and minima. Okay, so this is the part 1. So application of maxima and minima, part 1. So for number relation. So I will upload videos for area, perimeter, and so on. So in this video lesson, so it's just number relation. Okay, so here are the steps in finding the maxima and minima. So by the way, maxima is the plural of maximum and minima is the plural of minimum. Okay, so here are the steps. Number 1, identify the constant. Say, cost of fencing. Okay, so cost of fencing. Number 2, identify the variable to be maximized or minimized. Say, area. So we have given cost of fencing, then we're going to maximize or minimize the area. Okay, number 3, express this variable in terms of the other relevant variables. Say, area is a function of x and y. So usually we have two variables. So a is a function of x and y. Since area is length times width, so we can express that as x and y. X is the width and y is the length. Okay? So for number 4, if the function shall consist of more than one variable, express it in terms of one variable, if possible and practical. So using the conditions in the problem, say area is a function of x only. So usually in solving maxima and minima, we're going to have two equations. Okay, so two equations. So we're going to solve for the x in the first equation and then substitute it in the second equation, so that in the second equation we're going to have a function of x only. So for example, in first equation we have x and y, so we're going to solve either x and y and then substitute it in the second equation. So the second equation will become a function of x only or y only. Okay, then last step, differentiate and equate to 0. Derivative of a with respect to x equals 0. So why do we need to equate to 0? Because at 0, so we define the derivative as tangent or slope of the tangent line at point xy. So, for example, if this is the graph of a function, this is the graph of the function, so this is a relative maximum and relative minimum. At the maximum point, the tangent line here is horizontal. So if the tangent line is horizontal, so at the minimum point, maximum point and minimum point, the tangent line are horizontal, and the slope of the tangent line is 0. And we also define the derivative as the slope of the tangent line. Since the tangent line at maximum or minimum is horizontal, the slope is 0, which is the derivative of the function. So that is why we differentiate and equate to 0. So derivative a with respect to x is equal to 0, then solve for the value of the variable. Let's say x. Okay, so that is the reason why we differentiate and equate to 0. Then solve for x. Okay? So, example number 1. Okay, number 1. What number exceeds its square by the maximum amount? So, first, what number exceeds its square by the maximum amount? So we do not know the number, so let x be the number. So if x is the number, then its square is expressed as x squared. So x squared is the square of the number. Square of the number. Then let y be the, since the number exceeds its square, so that means we're going to subtract the number or subtract the square of the number by the given number. Since the question is, what number exceeds its square? So exceeds, so we need to subtract. So let y be the difference of the two numbers. So therefore, our equation will be y is equal to x minus x squared. So this is our equation, y equals x minus x squared. So y is already in terms of x. So we have only one equation in this example. So what number? So this is the number exceeds its square. So x minus its square by the maximum amount. Okay? So we're going to solve for x. So by maximum amount, so just get the derivative and then solve for x. Okay? So get the derivative. So we have y equals x minus x squared. So find the derivative. So therefore we have y prime is equal to derivative of x with respect to x. So that is 1 minus derivative of x squared. So power rule. So just multiply 2x. So we have minus 2x raised to 2 minus 1. So that is 1. So no need to write 1. So we have 1 minus 2x. And then next is equate to 0. So napakasimple lang. So equate to 0. 1 minus 2x is equal to 0. Then solve for x. So solve for x. Subtract 1 to both sides. So we have minus 1 to both sides. So cancel out. So negative 2x equals 0 minus 1 is negative 1. Then divide both sides by negative 2. Divide both sides by negative 2. So cancel out. Therefore, the number is equal to negative 1 over negative 2. So that is positive 1 half. Okay, so the number exceeds its square by maximum amount is 1 half. Okay, so let's verify. So 1 half, if the number is 1 half, the square of 1 half is 1/4. Right? So 1 half squared, so that is equal to 1/4. Okay, so let's subtract. So we have 1 half minus 1/4. So that will give the maximum amount when we subtract a number and by its square. So we have 1 half, that is equal to 2/4 minus 1/4 equals 1/4. So the maximum difference is 1/4. So let's verify. Let's say if the number is whole number, let's say the number is 3, its square, x squared, is equal to 9. So if we subtract that, 3 minus 9, the answer will be negative 6. So if we assign any number and subtract its difference, usually the answer will become negative. So the maximum amount is when the number is 1 half. So we have 1 half minus 1/4. Since 1/4 is less than 1 half, so the answer is 1/4. So therefore, the answer is x equals 1 half. So the number exceeds its square by the maximum amount. Okay? Next example. Okay, number 2. So what positive number added to its reciprocal gives the minimum sum? So just like number 1, we're going to have only one equation in this problem. So what positive number, so take note of the positive number, added to its reciprocal gives minimum sum. So for solution, let x be the positive number. Okay, so positive number. So if x is the positive number, then its reciprocal is equal to, reciprocal of x is 1 over x. So the reciprocal, x is the reciprocal of the given number. And then, positive number added to its reciprocal. So we're going to add this, gives the minimum sum. So let y be their sum. The sum of the two numbers, the number and its reciprocal. So their sum. So therefore, our equation will be y equals x plus 1 over x. So this is our working equation. So the sum is already expressed in terms of x only. So all we have to do now is just get the derivative and equate to 0 and solve for x. Okay, so we're just looking for the positive number, not the minimum sum. So find what is the positive number. So just solve for x after getting the derivative. So ang example niyan, x plus 1 over x. So for example, if x is 3, so we have 3 plus 1/3, so that is equal to 3 and 1/3. So let's say if x is 5, so we have y equals 5 plus the reciprocal of 5, 1/5, so that is 5 and 1/5. Okay, so we're looking for the minimum sum. So the sum here, when x equals 3, we have 3 and 1/3. When x equals 5, we have 5 and 1/5. So let's try 2/3. So when x is 2/3, so we have 2/3 plus reciprocal, 3 over 2. So we have 4 plus 9 over 6. We have 4 plus 9, 13 over 6. Okay? So let's find the value of x, which will give the minimum sum. So in this example, the minimum sum is 13 divided by 6. So this is the lowest in just these three numbers, 3, 5, and 2/3. So we're going to find the value of x, the number which gives the sum of its reciprocal, the minimum sum. Okay, so let's solve. So the answer is not in these three numbers, 3, 5, and 2/3. Okay, so to solve, just get the derivative. Just get the derivative of this. So we don't have direct formula for 1 over x. So we can express x, we have formula for x. So express x as negative exponent. So 1 over x, so that can be written as x raised to negative 1. Okay? So x raised to negative 1, that is equal to 1 over x. So that we can apply the power rule since we have exponent. Okay? So we can now get the derivative, or we can use we have a formula of the quotient rule or the constant over a function. So in this example, or apply the express as negative exponent and use the power rule. Okay? So y prime is equal to derivative of x is 1 plus, use power rule, so negative 1. So put negative 1, multiply to x. So we have negative 1 times x raised to negative 1 minus 1. Okay? So just let's just simplify. Y prime is equal to 1. So plus and negative. So we have minus x raised to negative 2. Or y prime is equal to 1 minus, put this in the denominator since we have negative exponent, so we have 1 over x squared. Okay? So now, equate to 0. Okay? So equate to 0 and then solve for x. So we have 1 minus 1 over x squared equals 0. Solve x squared. So put 1 to the other side. So by subtracting 1 to both sides. Subtract 1 to both sides. So this will be cancelled out. So we have negative 1 over x squared equals 0 minus 1 is negative 1. Simplify since they are both negative. So we can multiply both sides by negative 1 or just simply cancel the negative sign. So we have 1 over x squared equals 1. Therefore, just cross multiply. So we have this is over 1, so just cross multiply to solve for x squared. 1 times 1, so we have 1 equals x squared equals x squared. Then So, cross multiply lang yan. Cross multiply. Or multiply both sides by x squared. So, 1 equals x squared. So, now get the square root of both sides to cancel out the square. So, we have plus or minus 1 equals x. But since we are looking for only positive number, so the only answer is positive 1, not the negative 1. So, just reject the negative 1. The only answer is x equals 1. Based on our examples kanina na we have x, we assign x equals 3, 5, and 2/3, the answer are all more than 2. So, when x equals 1, so let's substitute. So, para mapatunayan natin na x equals 1 ay minimum sum. Kapag daw ang x ay 1, ang reciprocal ng 1 ay 1 pa rin. So, ang sum nila ay 2. Okay? So, 2 is the minimum sum. Based dun sa mga example natin kanina, di ba? Kapag 3, 3 and 1/3. Kapag 5, 5 and 1/5. So, mas malaki sa 2, di ba? And then, we have 2/3, mas malaki pa rin sa 2. Fraction yung naging sagot natin, di ba? Na mas malaki pa rin sa 2. So, the minimum sum is 2, and then the positive number that will be add to reciprocal, that will give the minimum sum is when x equals 1. Okay, so the answer, the positive number is 1. Okay, next, number 3. Okay, number 3. The sum of two numbers is 8. Find the minimum value of the sum of their squares. Okay? So, the sum of two numbers is 8. Find the minimum value of the sum of their squares. So, we're going to have two equations in this example. So, the unknown are the two numbers. Unlike dun sa first and second, we only have one number. They're reciprocal and then their square. So, for this example, we have two unknowns, the sum of two numbers. So, we're going to let the two numbers as x and y. Okay? So, let x and y be the two numbers, and then their sum is 8. So, the first equation is x plus y equals 8. So, this is the equation number 1. Find the minimum value of the sum of their squares. Sum of their squares. So, let minimum value of the sum. So, let s be the sum, or you can assign any variable. So, let s be the sum of their square. The sum of their square, so our equation 2 is x squared plus y squared. So, this is our equation number 2. Okay, so first equation, the sum of two numbers is 8. So, x plus y equals 8. Then, next equation, the minimum value, find the minimum value of the sum of their squares. So, s is equal to x squared plus y squared. Since we have two equations, so we're going to minimize the second equation. So, we're going to express solve for y in terms of x in the first equation. So, solve for y. So, we have x plus y is equal to 8. So, therefore, this will become solve for y. So, subtract x to both sides. Subtract x to both sides of the equation, or simply transpose x to the other side. So, therefore, y is equal to 8 minus x. Then, substitute y in the second equation. So, the value of y is 8 minus x. So, substitute 8 minus x to y. Okay, so therefore, the equation will become s is equal to x squared plus the value of y is 8 minus x. So, we have 8 minus x squared. Okay, so find the derivative. Find the derivative of this and then solve for x. Equate to 0 and then solve for x. Okay, so we can use the power rule since we have exponent. And for the second, so we can also use the power rule or the chain rule. So we assign u is 8 minus x. U is 8 minus x, so apply the chain rule. So power rule again. And then, okay, so let's solve. So derivative of s with respect to x is equal to derivative of x squared, so that is 2x, plus derivative of 8 minus x squared, so apply the power rule, so put 2 here, multiply to the base, so we have 2 times 8 minus x, 2 minus 1, so that is 1, no need to write that one, and then times derivative of the base, 8 minus x. So derivative of 8 minus x with respect to x. So no need to write this one. Okay, so therefore we have, just copy, we have 2x plus 2 times 8 minus x times derivative of 8. So derivative of 8, that is constant, so derivative of this is 0. Minus derivative of x, so derivative of x with respect to x is 1. Since we have negative, so negative 1. Okay, so that is our derivative of s with respect to x. So now, equate to 0, simplify, and then equate to 0. So we have 2 times negative 1, so that is negative 2. At the same time, let us equate to 0. So we have just copy 2x, then 2 times negative 1, that is negative 2, times 8 minus x equals 0. Then solve for x. Since both of the terms have 2, so we can divide each term or both sides by 2. So divide this by 2, so we have x, minus divide by 2, so we have 8 minus x equals 0. Okay, so next, solve for x. So we have x minus, so this will distribute the negative sign, x minus 8, negative of negative, so that is positive x equals 0. So x plus x, so that is equal to 2x minus 8 equals 0. Then divide each term or both sides, divide each term or by 2, since divisible by 2, 8 and 0. So divide each term by 2, so divided by 2, this will become x. Divided by 2, this will become 4. Divided by 2, so it's still 0. Then add 4 to both sides. So solve for x, so add 4 to both sides. So therefore, the value of x is equal to 4. So the first number is 4. So the second number is x plus y equals 8. So solve for y. So we have x plus y equals 8, but x equals 4. So we have 4 plus y equals 8. So minus 4 to both sides. So therefore, the value of y is also 4. But we are looking for the minimum value of the sum. So we're looking for the minimum value of the sum of their squares. So x and y are just the numbers. So find the minimum value of the sum. So substitute 4 and 4 to x and y. Then solve for the sum. Okay, so therefore, the minimum sum is equal to 4 squared plus another 4 squared. So therefore, we have 4 times 4, we have 16 plus 16. So therefore, the minimum sum is 16 plus 16. So therefore, the answer is 32. Okay? So final answer, minimum sum of the two numbers whose sum is 8 and then the minimum sum of their square is 32. When x and y are the same, both equal to 4. Okay? So another example, last example, number 4. Okay, last example, number 4. Find two numbers whose sum is a if the product of one by the cube of the other is to be a maximum. So ang hinahanap natin sa problem na to ay two numbers. So, find two numbers whose sum is a. So, let x and y be the two numbers, then their sum is a. So, therefore, the first equation is, ang sum ng x and y is equal to a. So, this is our first equation. The sum of two numbers x and y is equal to a. Then, second equation, if the product of one by the cube of the other is to be a maximum. Okay? So, let P be the product. So, P equals, So, product, P, or you can assign any variable. So, product of one by the cube of the other. So, product of one, so let's say the first number is x. Product of one number by the cube of the other. So, cube of y is to be a maximum. Okay, so this is our second equation. So we're going to maximize the second equation. Since we have two variables x and y, so we're going to express this as a function of x only or y only. So let's solve y in terms of x, express y in terms of x using equation number 1. So solve y in equation number 1. So we have x plus y equals a. So solve for y, so we need to subtract x to both sides or just transpose x to the other side of the equation. So therefore, y is equal to, subtract x to both sides, so we have a minus x. Okay, so the value of y is a minus x, so therefore, substitute a minus x to y. Okay, so therefore, our equation will be p is equal to x times the value of y is a minus x. So we have a minus x cubed. A here is constant because the sum of two numbers is a. So a is constant. Okay, so now differentiate. So we can use the power rule in finding the derivative of this. So this is our product rule. So apply the product rule. This is our u and this is v. So product rule. So ito yung u natin, then ito yung v natin. V is a minus x cubed. So apply the product rule. So therefore we have derivative of p with respect to x is equal to, so just copy the first. So we have x times derivative of this, derivative of v. So derivative of b, we can use the chain rule or power rule since we have exponent. So this is v cubed. So derivative of v cubed, so that is 3 times v, so that is a minus x, times derivative of a minus x, okay? Times derivative of a minus x with respect to x, okay? Plus v du, okay? So just copy v, so we have a minus x cubed times derivative of x, so derivative of x is 1. Okay, so let us just simplify. So we have 3 times x, so that is 3x times a minus x. Or, we forgot the square. So we have 3a minus x, then 3 minus 1. So this is exponent of 2. So 3a minus x squared times derivative of a. A is constant, so derivative of a is 0. Derivative of a is 0. Derivative of negative x is negative 1. Then, just copy. So this is 1, so no need to write. So we have a minus x cubed. Then, simplify. So we have negative 1 times 3x. So we have negative 3x times a minus x squared plus a minus x cubed. Okay, so let's simplify. Factor out the common term. We have a minus x squared and a minus x cubed. So we can factor out a minus x squared. Okay, so factor out a minus x squared to the two terms. So we have derivative of p with respect to x is equal to, so factor out a minus x squared. Then we have this term, negative 3x. And then plus, we factor out a minus x squared. So, meron pang natirang a minus x. A minus x. Then simplify, we have a minus x squared. Simplify this, negative 3x minus x. So, we can combine. So, that is negative 4x plus a. Okay? Then, we can equate to 0. Okay, equate to 0. Okay? Since we have 2 factors, and then that is equal to 0. So we can equate each factor to 0. So we have a minus x squared equals 0, or we have negative 4x plus a equals 0. So if a minus x squared equals 0, so extract the square root of both sides. So we have a minus x equals 0. Since if we square root both sides, so square root of 0 is still 0. Then solve for x, so put x to the other side of the equation. So therefore, add x to both sides. So therefore, a equals x. So ito yung isang sagot natin. Then for this, solve for x. So put a to the other side. So negative a to both sides. So this will become 0. Negative 4x equals 0 minus a is negative a. Then divide both sides by negative 4. So therefore, x is equal to a over 4 or 1/4 a. So parehas lang yun. So negative over negative, that is positive. So we can put 1/4 a. Okay? So we have two answers. X equals 1/4 a or a equals x. But we have only one solution here. So we can reject this. Because when x equals a, then y will become 0. And then when x equals a, then y will become a minus a, y will become 0, and then when we substitute when y equals 0, then the product will be 0. So that is not, hindi yung kasali dun sa, hindi siya magiging maximum kasi 0 yon. Magiging ang product, 0 yung isa, so ang product nila magiging 0 na lang. So again, hindi siya maximum. So maximum sa kanila, isa lang. So magiging maximum is when x equals 1/4 a. So when x equals 1/4 a, solve for y. So this is the fourth equation for y. Y equals a minus x. So x equals 1/4 a or a over 4. So we have a minus 1/4 a. So therefore, the value of y equals, so this is 1. So 1 minus 1/4 a, or 1a minus 1/4 a, that is equal to 3/4 a. So therefore, the two numbers are 3/4 a and 1/4 a. Okay? So when we add that, 3/4 a plus 1/4 a, that is equal to a. So their product of the one number and the cube of the other is maximum. So we reject a equals x because the product of this is 0. So that is not maximum since the product is 0. Okay, so the only answer, the two numbers are 1/4 a and 3/4 of a. Okay, so that's all. So I hope you learned something. So abangan nyo yung susunod kong video para sa application of maxima and minima. So ang susolve naman natin doon ay part 2. So ang susolve natin doon ay area and perimeter. Okay? So bye-bye and God bless!